Awesome. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for our presentation, Leveraging AI Tools in Library Databases for Enhanced Research. My name is Teresa Edge. I am the head of Access and User Services in Wolfgram Library and also the library liaison for School of Business and the Science Division in ANS.
And I'm Roz Goldstein. I'm head of collections and resource management and the librarian liaison to the engineering department.
Great. So the objectives of our presentation is to help everyone gain an understanding of various AI tools that are beginning to be integrated into popular database platforms. We're going to go into detail about EBSCO and ProQuest, and then we'll touch on some of the other ones that are appearing or are soon to be expected. There are more being added all the time. Each platform seems to take its own version of implementing AI. So it'll be interesting to see how those develop. And then learning how these tools can help streamline the research. And we'll talk a little bit about the ethical implications of these tools and in relation to the generative AI tools like ChatGPT. I'm going to start off with the tools that are available within our ProQuest resources. They're available in ProQuest Central along with other databases that we have on the ProQuest platform. The two main tools that they've launched are quick add keywords in the search feature and something called Research Assistant that is available within each of the specific document records. So I just wanted to share what Clarivate's the parent company for ProQuest products, and they claim that their approach to adding AI is a problem-solving approach. So they're trying to add tools that help our researchers create better queries, find related topics or narrowing topics, understanding individual documents and their key term sources. So that we'll be looking at. They do take an ethical approach as much as possible.
Oh.
They do use an OpenAI LLM, basically the same as ChatGPT, but they use retrieval augmented generation techniques or RAG techniques to minimize the chances of hallucination. And they're basically just taking information from within the document itself. It's not pulling in any information from public AI LLM, publicly generated information. The research assistant also will use the perspective of the original document. So they claim it's minimizing the risk of bias. So basically, whatever bias may already exist in the document will be maintained, but it's not factoring in the different biases fed in through free resources on the open web. Their tools also use LMMs to process their licensed content from within their publishing partners. They're using their own licensed content only. It's generating live as it goes, and it does not use any of that licensed data to train directly or indirectly train other LLMs. So the first tool that I wanted to highlight is related to searching. So when you do a search within a ProQuest database, you will now see quick add keywords directly underneath the search bar. So after you complete a search, there are suggestions of related terms that you can add to the query and narrow the results down. And it also helps users identify terms that are related to their topic. So it gives them a wider understanding of the topic where they started. And then once a user opens a specific document from their search, they will see the new research assistant tools on the right-hand side of the record for that document. So there are four main pieces to the research assistant at this time. They provide a key takeaway, suggested sources, brainstorming related research topics, and describing important concepts. And I'll go into a little more detail on each of those. So the key takeaway is extracted from the document itself. It's intended to help a user understand what the document is about in a easy to understand way and to determine the relevance for the specific research at hand. If from the search in ProQuest, the key takeaways will actually be influenced by your search. So depending on how you started out, they will be different. The key takeaways can be different even for the same document if the search used different search terms, which is kind of interesting. So it's trying to make the key takeaways more relevant to your initial search entry. And then each key takeaway is made up of 3 paragraphs. The first is a short paragraph about what it thinks the document's about. Then a paragraph that mentions additional topics addressed within the article, and then a paragraph explaining the relationship between the document and the initial search terms. The next piece that you can open under Research Assistant is the important concepts related to the document. The explanations for these concepts are extracted again from the document itself, and the definitions are generated in terms of the text of the document, not from outside sources. And then each concept that is included is hyperlinked, and you can click that to run a new search on that particular topic if you wish, directly from the Key Concepts AI tool. And then the final piece to the research assistant is called the brainstorm research topics. And these are generated also based on the document. The feature suggests potential topics that a user might be interested in to expand their knowledge or to find inspiration about a topic that they might want to write about. And you can use the magnifying glass link next to each one of those to run a new search based on that particular suggested topic. And then I'm going to hand it over to Roz to talk about EBSCO.
So EBSCO and ProQuest are sort of in competition, and more than sort of in competition. So expect all of these views to change. EBSCO is taking a totally different approach. For our libraries, we have not only our EBSCO databases, but we use EBSCO's discovery service to search, to do a basic discovery search when someone starts from the library homepage. And so everyone, the view will be different. So EBSCO calls theirs AI Insights. They have summaries of the document. They say each document has 2 to 5 key points. I've only seen 5. And they're hoping to introduce a level of uniformity, although every time a search is run, those 5 points could have slightly different tilt, wording, whatever. They're trying to reduce the time the users spend assessing the usefulness of the full text articles. And they use large language models to summarize these insights. And I believe they have staff librarians or staff reviewing samples of subject matter to make sure, on an ongoing basis, to make sure there are no biases, tone, and make sure it's accurate and timely. And thank you. I'm ready. So they're rolling this out as of March. there's a longer list of databases that contain AI, have AI insights enabled. I just gave gave a view of the list of databases that major databases that we subscribe to. There are a few that we do that aren't used by everyone. So as time goes on, people will see this a little differently. And could you move to the next? So first of all, this is an opt-in feature, which we had to make the decision to turn on to offer it to our community, and hopefully people will find this useful. But this is just exactly the opposite of ProQuest. On ProQuest, when you perform a search and you get to the article, you see their AI generated data. In EBSCO, it isn't. So when we move to, so we've done a search from the library homepage, and right now there are not that many hits that will show generate AI insights. So the first took a while to find this. The first citation does not have a button for AI to generate AI insights, and the second citation does. And it's showing that this is an opt-in, and it's at the this level, it's at the search level and not at the full article level. And Teresa, if you can move on, please. So when I've hit generate AI insights, I get the 5 bullet points. You don't have to read it, because if you try to recreate the same search, the wording will be a little different, and the tone might even be a little different. So for ProQuest, this information was at the full article, and here it is on the display. And I guess one of the FAQs was, well, they also offer this at the full article level. And so that's one of the changes that may suddenly appear between now and the time everyone gets back in September. Can you move? Thank you. So anyway, so some of the nice things about AI Insights is they're fully accessible and can be read with a screen reader. And one of the features that I actually did try, and is that if the language of the document is not in English, but there's an English abstract, which is a whole other issue, but the user has selected English as their language, the AI insight will be auto-translated into English, so that an article that isn't in English will have, if it has an abstract in English, and also the AI insights. So with the idea that the researcher can make a better decision going forward as to whether or not this is an article that they want to use. The next one. And I think this statement, I think, was sort of defensive from EBSCO's website, that they feel that the AI insights are in a language that's easier for researchers to evaluate than just relying on abstracts. Abstracts are defined, they're written by the author, they're sometimes very, very technically written. And depending on what the topic is and who the researcher is, this might not work well for everyone. And as I said, the insights are newly generated with each request, and they're awarded differently. And as I was testing this, I was thinking that if a class is reading the same article and clicks on AI Insights, there might be sort of a different bent every time someone, each student reads the article, and assuming they read the whole article, and this might end up not being a great thing for a classroom discussion just because of the different wording. All we can say, and we'll get to this, all we can say is this is new. AI Insights is in beta, and it says beta everywhere. So I have no idea. We have no idea how much this will change over time, and how much each vendor will either try to be unique in how they're displaying this, or go with the flow and have everything look alike. I can't predict that. So another resource, Oxford Academic. We have a few journals and a lot of ebooks from Oxford Academic. And it took me a little while actually to drill down to find their AI discovery assistant. I had to go back and read something. So there's a little information icon on the top. And then from there, you can click on AI Discovery Assistant before bringing up this screen that is a little warped. And it's just basically a chat function. It'll pull up 10 articles based on the chat question. I'm not sure how much better this is than clicking on the actual search box, which is next to the AI Discovery Assistant on that page. When I tested it and thought, well, maybe I can ask the AI assistant to only show me articles that I have full text access to, because we don't have everything in this on Oxford's product line, I wasn't successful. So if someone needs only wants to look at 10 things, this is perfect. You know, so you don't have thousands of citations, but I still am not convinced. There's that. And at the bottom of the screen, there's a message that says the AI assistant uses generative AI and may make errors. Please check all outputs. And I thought, well, that is a good thing to share, because yes, there's no guaranteeing. Okay, thank you. And back to Teresa.
Thanks, Ross. So one of the other tools that you might see, I know a lot of us use the Chronicle of Higher Education. And if you access that through, we have free access through our list of databases, by the way, in case you weren't aware.
Paid for access.
Paid for access, correct. Free to you. Not my bad. We provide access to the Chronicle of Higher Education through our list of databases, and they have added an AI feature called Ask Cron, which is another, they claim, a research assistant. It's AI powered. It's been trained on their own news articles using large language models like everybody else. It is using only its own sources, not pulling in from the web. And you do, in order to get to the Ask Cron feature, you need to create your own account within the Chronicle of Higher Education page using your Widener email address. So feel free to play around with that as well. So those are two features that we have available through our databases right now. There are plenty more to come across a variety of other platforms. We know that JSTOR has launched a beta AI tools at some libraries. We do not have it yet. So do not expect to see this through our JSTOR access yet. Hopefully soon. So they have an experimental search and an interact with article or an AI chat, which is interesting. So you can actually literally only about that particular source, but using sort of a chat vernacular, try to get insights into that particular article. So it'll be interesting to see what that is like. And then another example that I found, ACM Digital Libraries, which is a computer science database, they plan to add an AI assisted discovery within the next year. We have resources listed that we refer to, but also places that you can find more detailed information, more than you probably ever wanted to know if you wish, about the AI tools and how they are being used. And again, we will also be posting the recording of this and our other workshops on our library YouTube channel and on the LibGuide that will be created for this series. So at this time, I just want to, we can open it up if anybody has any questions about anything that we covered. Happy to try to attempt to answer them.
And there's nothing in the chat. Oh,
So
Hi,
Teresa and
Scott.
Roz, thank you. This is big. Everybody who teaches students how to search,
Yeah.
everybody who has students do a research paper that requires sources, like, is going to have to rethink their game. This is big.
Potentially. I mean, yeah, I guess yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea, I think, is to be helpful, to help narrow down to truly relevant resources in a shorter amount of time. And then they can spend time processing those sources and synthesizing instead of spending time finding them. I think that's hopefully the gist, but yeah, you want to factor
Yeah.
that in. What are your thoughts, Scott?
Well, like, part of my thoughts are that's great if that's how the students use it,
Mm-hmm.
but like faculty are going to have to be really careful about how they construct assignments, because students could also use this in a way to make sure that they write a paper while learning nothing.
Yeah.
Cliff Notes for free.
And fast and easy to copy and paste.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can't regenerate it. Right? Like you can't necessarily check that. It's not like, I mean, I know you suspect something, you copy it, you paste it in Google, you can find it again if that's where they found it originally. This doesn't quite work that way because there's not
No.
a record of the exact same content.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tricky. It's very tricky, and we're all trying to grapple with how that's going to work.
So the irony is that it looks to me in a way like ProQuest and EBSCO host are trying to make it so you don't need a librarian as much, but I think you're going to need a librarian more to do this right.
We appreciate that. Yes. Yeah, the finding information is no longer the problem. It's definitely, I mean, which has been true for the past, probably 20 years, but evaluating the content and, as you're saying, new issues with how they're using it, and whether they're actually, grappling with it with the resources themselves.
Right. And now instead of students having to evaluate the content, they're going to have to evaluate the evaluation of the content.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. Meta research concepts. Yeah, absolutely. Which is why, in our other workshops and in classes, we emphasize lateral reading, right? Where you're comparing to other resources, which we have said is more critical on using open AI resources, but potentially, also important if you're relying on AI generated summaries within now, right? Within databases.
yeah. So like all the things that you've been pitching for years, it seemed like they just became critical.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
So thank you for bringing this to my attention.
You are quite welcome. Thank you for joining us.
And you now know that if 20 people read the same article, they're going to come out and have to critique, say, the same article or report on the same article. They might look somewhat alike for parts of it, but they're, somewhere, it'll either look like, oh, these two students really read it and came up with different points, or if when they generated it, they got some new words to use. I'm not sure that I'm convinced that this is wonderful.
Yeah. Have to see how it goes. Thank you for that. Any other questions or inputs from the group? Other concerns?
I think Heather wants us to
Yeah,
do this
you're
again
right.
next year.
It'll be a whole new ball game by then. Okay, well, if there's no further questions right now, again, thank you so much for joining us. And you can refer folks back to this when we have it available and posted at a later time. Enjoy your lunchtime and afternoon.
Thank you.
Teresa,
Yes.
I just wanted to thank you for putting all these together this week.
Oh,
Like,
awesome.
and I like that they're really they're 30 minutes, and that makes it much more manageable. Even though I've like been bombing in and out, but thank you. I think this is
No,
great.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you were able to make most, if not all of them. And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't mind being, I'm like, I'm fine being shorter as long as we don't go over. People are always happy to be let go early, you know,
Yeah. Right. And it's just
but
sort of
still
like,
useful, hopefully.
especially this time of the semester, just like a little something to like jog your like, you got to think about this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It'll be an interesting planning summer this year, right?
Yeah. And I will reach out to all of you at the about doing something with ASC 101 because a lot of the faculty assigned some sort of research project, and
Yeah,
how we can help students do that in a useful and effective in and with integrity. We
yes,
got to get them off to the right foot.
I agree.
All
Yeah, we'll
right.
be happy to work with you on that.
All right. Always
All
good.
right,
Thanks.
see you.
Thank you. Bye. Do you want to be the
All
one to
good?
end it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
good.
think so. Okay.